For centuries, the galaxy had spoken of Earth as one speaks of dust swept under the stars. The archives of the Zelith Dominion, the Charon Confederacy, and even the meticulous Surrey archivists showed nothing but silence where humanity once thrived. Their wars had burned bright, but then, gone. Their colonies fell quiet. Their transmissions faded into the void. To the younger species, humanity was a closed chapter. At best, a cautionary tale, at worst, a forgotten footnote. Their worlds were mapped, their stations derelict, their name only whispered when ancient war stories were told. The galaxy moved on. Earth was dead, humanity extinct, and the future belonged to others, or so they believed. Whispers in the ruins. It began, as all ghost stories do, with faint signals. A derelict station, thought to be abandoned centuries ago, flickered with power. Not much, just a tremor like a spark caught in deep water. The Charon patrols dismissed it. Old reactors sometimes bled residual energy. Ancient stations occasionally echoed phantom signals when struck by solar winds, but the readings grew stronger. Then came the whispers, ghostly shipyards buried in asteroid belts, faint pings of encrypted transmissions no one could decode, shadows moving where nothing should move. Explorers scoffed, ruins don't wake, but unease spread in quiet corners of the galaxy. Forgotten keys found. A Surrey archivist, obsessively cataloging Terran data fragments, stumbled across something impossible. Command strings embedded in old star charts, coded not in alien logic, but in a lattice of human language long dismissed as dead. They were not random, they were keys. When tested, one unlocked a sequence within the derelict station systems. The power surge was undeniable. Engines long frozen twitched to life. Forgotten codes whispered across the void, waking networks no living being had touched for 500,000 hours of galactic time. The galaxy watched, curiosity soured into dread. The graveyard breathes. Those derelicts, those fields of dead human warships, were not corpses at all. They were coffins waiting for the right words to be spoken. One by one, ships shuddered awake. Their hulls bore scars from forgotten wars, their designs archaic yet unnervingly purposeful. Engines ignited like volcanic fire. Navigation lights blinked in cold rhythm. Hulls rearranged in silent formation, as though they had been drilled for this moment, waiting for the codes, waiting for the key. The graveyard moved. Turning point, the awakening storm. At first, the alien observers thought it coincidence, an automated program set to run until fuel bled dry. But the ships didn't drift. They maneuvered perfectly, coordinated, flawless in formation. War machines from another age, yet sharper, faster, more precise than the galaxy's proudest fleets. Their weapons powered in silent sequence. Systems, thought long corroded, flared to life with terrible efficiency. The Charon fleet commander, watching from orbit, issued a panicked broadcast. "These are not ruins, these are soldiers." The terror of old flesh made iron. Panic spread as the Terran ships engaged in their first exercise. Mock combat drills executed with chilling precision. No wasted motion. No delay in response. Ships the galaxy called ancient, outclassed modern vessels built with centuries of improvements. The reason soon became clear. Terran design philosophy was not about obsolescence. It was about preservation. Their fleets had been built to last, built to sleep, built to rise again. The very galaxy had mistaken stillness for death. Now that stillness was broken. Conflict, the Armada moves. Alien fleets dispatched to investigate found themselves outmaneuvered before they could even fire. Terran warships shadowed them, corralled them, then vanished back into the dark. Not a single Terran vessel was lost. Worlds that had laughed at ghost stories now stared into the sky, seeing human silhouettes blot out stars. Systems whispered in fear. If this is their forgotten arsenal, how much greater was their living one? The galaxy, for the first time in centuries, remembered what it meant to fear humans. Resolution, shadows of preservation. When the last codes were unlocked, the full truth emerged. Humanity had not merely built fleets, they had entombed storms in steel, scattered across the stars. Fleets slumbered in every forgotten corner, waiting for the day the codes would return. No one knew who had triggered the sequence, or why. No one knew if humanity itself still lived, hidden somewhere in the deep, but the lesson was undeniable. Humans were not gone, they were waiting. Epilogue: the galaxy trembles. Whispers spread across every council, every throne, every academy. If one graveyard had risen, then there were others. If one forgotten armada had returned, then 1,000 storms still slept, waiting for the keys. The stars themselves seemed heavier with dread, for the galaxy realized at last. Humans do not vanish. They preserve. They endure. And when they return, they bring with them the silence-breaking thunder of fleets that were never truly dead. And somewhere deep in the archives, another code stirred. For centuries, the galaxy's archives carried only one certainty about humanity: they were finished. Their world had burned itself into ash. Their colonies, scattered like embers, had gone dark one by one. The last great records, preserved by alien historians, marked the Terrans as brilliant but reckless, a species that consumed itself faster than it could conquer. Among the archives of the Cathari Imperium, Earth was a cautionary tale. To the Ilvari councils, humans were a curiosity of history, makers of strange weapons, builders of fortresses no one understood, and dreamers who spoke of destiny before they vanished into the void. To most of the galaxy, they were a dead species, their ruins picked apart by scavengers, their memory relegated to myths traded in backwater taverns. In the stillness of the stars, humanity had become a whisper, nothing more. The first anomaly. It began, as most things do, in shadows. The Varen Exploratory Corps was charting an abandoned sector near the Perseus Fringe, a wasteland of drifting asteroids and forgotten stations. Their scans picked up faint signals, codes that should not exist, transmissions wrapped in encryption older than their own empire. At first they dismissed it. Space was full of ghosts. Derelict relays often spat out ancient echoes, their machines stuttering with decayed power. Yet these signals did not fade. They grew stronger, sharper, aligning into a pattern. A derelict station was found at the center, a massive construct of blackened steel, scarred by centuries yet still intact. No one knew its makers. The shape was Terran but impossibly old. The Varen captain laughed, brushing dust off his data slate. "A human ruin," he sneered, "nothing more than rust." But as his ship orbited the structure, the station responded. Panels shifted, antennas realigned. For the first time in millennia, a signal pulsed outward, deliberate, precise, alive. The graveyard awakens. At first, the galaxy ignored it. A handful of explorers reporting old human signals was no threat. But then, the ghost yard spoke louder. Entire sectors began detecting the pulse, encrypted Terran command codes still valid across centuries. They cascaded like a ripple across space, activating relays no one had touched in generations. Forgotten satellites blinked to life, their lights flashing like beacons. And then the stars themselves shifted. From the dark edges of the Perseus Fringe, ships began to move. They were hulks at first glance, colossal vessels scarred by battles no one remembered, draped in silence for ages. Their hulls bore the insignia of Terran fleets, names erased from history. But when the code struck them, their reactors burned like suns reborn. Engines ignited, shields flared, weapons long thought primitive unfolded into sleek, predatory shapes. The graveyard was not a ruin. It was an armada waiting for its key. Forgotten codes had unlocked it, and humanity's war machines obeyed as though their masters had never left. The shattering of certainty. The alien powers reacted with disbelief. The Ilvari sent observers, only for their ships to vanish when they strayed too close. The Cathari dispatched fleets, convinced they could crush these reanimated relics. They expected rust, fragile artifacts. What they faced instead was precision incarnate. Terran warships, thousands of them, moved in perfect formation, their maneuvers flawless, as though centuries of silence had been drills for this very moment. Their weapons were not outdated. They were devastating. Plasma lances cut through Cathari dreadnoughts as if they were paper. Hypersonic slugs shredded shields designed to withstand modern artillery. Gravity warheads bent spacetime itself, swallowing cruisers whole. The galaxy realized the truth too late. These ships had never been abandoned. They had been preserved, waiting for forgotten codes to awaken them. Panic in the stars. Panic spread faster than light. Worlds whispered of Earth's ghost fleet, a storm hidden in silence, now roaring into existence. Merchants rerouted trade lanes to avoid the Perseus fringe. Pirate clans abandoned entire sectors, muttering that the humans had risen from their graves. The Council of 12, the largest galactic assembly, convened emergency sessions. Yet even their greatest fleets hesitated. Who could face a force that had slept for millennia, untouched, unaging, designed to outlast civilizations themselves?